this is so stupid. I feel like I'm way too staged now. I just recorded this whole video, and now I feel like I have a script that I already made in my fucking mind, and now I can't get it out right because I don't even remember my own script. This is fucking. I'm mad at past me. I want to talk about life and the fact that I've been really sad lately. Lately, my videos have been about my mental health and how poor it's been. And I've been getting a lot of comments on those videos, questions or suggestions about, oh, it sounds like you've got ADHD, or it sounds like that's depression, or maybe that's executive dysfunction. And you know what? Yeah, you guys are right. You're all right. I'm just here to say you guys are right. I'm very mentally ill, and you guys are right. I've got all those diagnoses, okay? But it's complex, and I've been trying to work it out, but this shit is really difficult on my part, okay? I've been trying to get treatment since 2020. And why 2020 and why not sooner? Because that's when I became of legal age. I'm not from a really great family. I'm not from a great family. My family was really poor, and my mother had a victim mentality. So when I came to her at a young age, displaying the same mental illnesses that she had, she told me that there was no way I could have the same things as her, even though her illnesses are literally genetic. So I went through most of my childhood with really, really, really bad mental health issues. Those issues impacted my school life, obviously. I was miserable. I had to go home to a really bad house life, and let's break down the bad house life, right? I was the firstborn into a couple that weren't really in love with each other, that had a whole lot of fucking issues, right? And the mother who birthed me has an very, very anxious attachment style, right? The father, avoidant as fuck. What does mom do? She has new baby, latch on to new baby. You need all emotional comfort from new baby. That was me. I was firstborn, okay? Eventually I had some siblings come along and join me in the hell, but I became the main thing that my mother leaned on. So through my whole life, I've just been her emotional support. I've had to be the mediator between my father and mother, and it wasn't fun. She also has really bad abuse problems, alcohol, and other, drugs that are now legal, okay? I remember things going downhill when I was 10, and my mom had lost her job of 10 years due to some petty shit at work. Some really stupid stuff. My mom started really spiraling after that point, and I became an even more emotional support for her. She was a bartender, so she would come home at midnight, maybe 2 a.m. sometimes, immediately come to my room, and then she'd come in my room, she'd smoke, she'd complain about her whole day, and sometimes I'd smoke with her, okay? That's what my life was. And that started when I was 10. It kind of developed through the years from smoking into drinking with my mom. And when I was 12, I was already driving her home from bars and things like that. It was not fun to live through. And there's still a whole lot more in that I'm just not ready to talk about yet, mostly because I feel guilty about talking about these things for my family, because it's because the way that my family abused me was by telling me to never talk about these things, that this stays in the family, because I don't really know the reason. It's just I'm sure that other people that have been in a similar situation get it. They know what I'm talking about. Living in that situation ruined my school life because I had too much to worry about at home, and I didn't feel like I could relate to any of the other kids, because it's not like I could be yeah, I had to drive my fucking drunk mom home at 3 a.m. last night. What about you? They were yeah, I went to bed at 10 after playing Legos all day. So I couldn't relate to anybody, and I was going to bars with my mom and talking to people that were way older than me. So I was learning and talking about things that a fucking teenager, preteen shouldn't even be worrying about, but those are the types of things I was talking about. So I would get to school and I couldn't relate to anybody, and then I was angry all the time, so I took it out on people around me a lot. And I'm really sorry to anybody that maybe is from my school that watches these videos out of spite or whatever. If I've ever hurt them, I'm really sorry about all that stuff. But because the childhood was shit, and I had no reason to stay there, right? I moved out when I was 17, and that was during 2019, so right before COVID hit, I moved out. And then that led into 2 years of just isolation. I moved 8 hours away from where I originally lived. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a car. The only way that I was making money was off of Twitch, and I was dealing with bulimia at the time, a really, really bad eating disorder, and I was just doing whatever I could to stay afloat. And at the time, that was making ASMR and stuff like that. I was just grabbing onto anything that would get me out of that situation. So, you know, YouTube really, really helped me. But when I finally escaped, there was like that middle year where I'm 17, not 18, so I can't do a whole lot, where I was really grinding out the work for YouTube, and then I hit 18 and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finally get myself help. I'm gonna start going to the psychiatrist, and I need to figure out these issues that I'm having, because like they were not good. I used to see shadow people. I know. When I started to seek out help, I started different mental health medications. Obviously, at first I got diagnosed with bipolar, ADHD, general anxiety disorder, and then I started with antidepressants, and then mood stabilizers because they thought it was bipolar. And then I don't know, I tried like 7, 8 different medications over the course of 2 years, giving each medication at least a month to 2 months, maybe even longer with some of them, and it still just didn't work out. And most of these medications were giving me horrible side effects, which then impacted my ability to post videos, hence my really long gaps of just not posting. It's because I felt terrible about myself, and I mean, I started to heal from the eating disorder during that time as well, and when I started to visibly gain weight, I was getting a lot of comments on my YouTube videos about that. And when you're actively healing from an eating disorder and you're getting comments about your body, that kind of doubles down on your body dysmorphia and fucks everything up. So I kind of split mentally on the whole thing, because I was like, I can't do it anymore. Like, I want to post these videos, I want to be good, but I can't do it. So I stopped posting. I was only posting when I was mentally able, but that was every like few months. And you know, I was relying off of the internet financially, personally, because I couldn't even hold a normal job. I struggle with everyday tasks, keeping myself clean, keeping my area clean, remembering to get things done, to schedule appointments for myself, just a lot of executive dysfunction issues. And it's been really hard trying to figure those out, being so alone and independent these past few years. Because I need to get a job during the times that I can't post YouTube videos, right? But during the times that I can't post YouTube videos is usually when I'm the most mentally ill. So I try and get a job while I'm that mentally ill, and then there have been times when I've gotten signed on to a job, but then I can't leave my house for days at a time, and then I don't actively reach to be put on the schedule, and then eventually I get phased out, because I'm just not working enough hours. And it sucks because an employer can only be so understanding about mental health issues, and I feel stuck because it's like I need that money and I need to stay afloat, but it's really, really hard for me to maintain. So then I keep on trying to come back and make this shit work, but then it indirectly hurts my mental health even worse, right? So those 2 years of trying to figure out medication and doing therapy at the same time helped me work through a lot of stuff, but then taking such a long break from YouTube wasn't good. I mean, I was at that point riding off of whatever money I had at the time, and it was just becoming less and less. And I was also just constantly, in my brain, the only thing I was ever working towards was to go to Japan. And during COVID, I definitely had the money for that, but I was riding off of my funds because I couldn't hold a normal job. I feel really, really ashamed sharing that kind of stuff, because I wish I was more capable, And I always get comments, obviously, it's the internet. People are going to have their shit to say, but it doesn't make me feel great when it's like, I feel like I'm telling people that I'm struggling so much, and I'm always met with people telling me that I need to try harder. And then I feel so stuck because it's like I have to try even harder than this, and to other people that this doesn't even seem like trying to them. And I feel crushed each time I have that sort of thought. So then, at some point through the therapy, my therapist actually brought up autism, and one of my siblings has autism and has been diagnosed since a really young age. I don't know why my parents weren't like, maybe we should check the other kids, but they just didn't. So that's been a suggestion, but if that is a suggestion, then that's just like the fact, like that's just a brain thing at that point, and then like what do I do then? And getting that kind of diagnosis costs money, and like seeking it out, and what if it's not like, and if I don't, then it's like I wasted all that money just to get like told, no, you don't have it, and people argue, well, you should still do it anyways. But my issue is like, finances are my issue, man, and everything is so much, and so then it was, okay, maybe you've got autism, you've got the autism, ADHD, CPTSD combo. And to me, I'm like, kind of makes sense. But then, further down the line, they're like, I'm like, well, a lot of my symptoms are overlapping with borderline. But then that also overlaps with the autism stuff. And then I'm like, which one is it? And which one am I supposed to go? And nobody can give me a definite answer. Obviously, you have to do therapy and like figure that shit out over time. But that costs so much money. And my issue is that it's 2024 and I've been doing this since 2020. I have been spending thousands and thousands of dollars on my medical expenses, and I can't afford that anymore. I am so mentally ill that I can't hold a job, but I'm also too financially poor to work on my mental health anymore. So what do I do? Like, that's a recipe for disaster, right? And then I've gotten comments on my other videos when I'm talking about the issues, like, well, why don't you lean on your family? And we've just covered that. Like, that's not an option for me. My family was extremely financially poor, and honestly, when I moved out at 17, I was still paying my family paychecks to try and keep the lights on. There was a video I made back in like 2019, I think, where I asked for some financial support from people, like the audience on my Ko-fi, to help cover a water heater for my family because their water heater had exploded. And that wasn't like the only things that I had been covering for them. I mean, I was keeping the lights on or helping with some bills, things like that. And when my mother saw that I was starting to get somewhere career-wise, she started to abuse me financially, and she took a lot of money from me because I was, at the time, under 18, and we had a joint bank account, and it fucking sucked. I had a lot of money taken from me, and then she slapped me. She didn't physically slap me, but she threw in my face slapped in my face well, I raised you, I spent so much money on you, I paid for this and all of that, and the boomer stuff. I'm sure if you're anywhere around my age, you probably heard this shit from your parents too. It's a plague on the world that a lot of people go through right now. But she did that, so I don't have a relationship with my mother, and then I don't really have a relationship with my father because he's so emotionally distant. So I'm alone in the world. If it absolutely came to it, I don't know. I don't even feel like I can rely on my parents. I don't feel, I'm more adult than they are at this point, which is so fucking awful to say. Like, I still feel like a baby sometimes, and anyways, I want to read my notes really quick because I had something to keep me on track. So I talked about the family trauma, I talked about the diagnoses, I talked about the medication troubles. I've been consistent with therapy, and then obviously I get those stupid comments. Okay, I'm sorry, they're not stupid. They're just repetitive. I get those comments suggesting faith, and I'm not going to go really far into it. I'm just going to say that I've attempted faith, many different types of faiths. It hasn't worked for me. I don't think that's my route. Anyways, let's wrap up the video, and let's talk about what am I doing to try and get better from all of this. Because I realize I'm unwell. I'm pretty unwell. I've been unwell. And I'm really tired of being unwell because now I'm at a really crucial point in my life where I need to start hustling, otherwise I'm gonna nosedive and things aren't gonna ever get better. So I've made long-term goals, which I talked about in my last video. And what I mean by that is when I was under the age of 18, I never thought that I'd be able to actually escape my house. YouTube really saved me, and it helped me get away. But I didn't think that would ever actually happen. So unaliving myself was always on my mind, and I never thought that I would really actually escape my family. So I never made long-term goals of like, what would I actually do career-wise? What would I do this or that or whatnot? And I've never thought about those types of things. And now I'm trying to figure out like what would a long-term life look like for me? What are the things I do want to have? You know, sure, other people have gone through these things. For me, it's I don't think I want to live in America, which I talked about the last time, right? You know, so I've got to figure out which country would I want to live in. I need to figure out a career because I really want this stuff to work out, but I don't know if it will. So I'm trying to do coding. I've been doing coding for the last 2 weeks, actively every day. So far we've got all the basics. We got JavaScript done. We've got HTML. We've got Ruby. We got JQ. We got most of the stuff done. I'm just making my portfolio. I haven't really talked about this, but I'm no longer struggling with addiction. I had really bad alcoholism problems and drug abuse problems during the first 2020 to 2022, which also contributed to my problems because my medication stuff wasn't working. So I'm not abusing those substances anymore. Trying to make more YouTube videos, so I'm indulging in my hobbies. I don't know. I have been feeling so lonely lately that I feel my way of making these videos are just the only way of trying to feel something lately, because reading the messages and comments I get back of people really relating, some people feeling inspired, it helps me feel something. Because right now I don't feel much dopamine from anything. It's the depression, and I just gotta keep going until the depression goes away. And I think I've covered everything that I've had to say. I just needed to make a video because I'm trying to be consistent, guys. I'm trying, but I do have some really good things planned for the near future. I'm gonna work on a YouTube video that I think is gonna be a lot more interesting, and it's not just gonna be a sit down and talk, but it's also not gonna be an ASMR video. So I hope you guys will like that. I have some ideas for those types of things. I'm also really sad because I recorded this video 40 minutes ago, but the microphone wasn't plugged in properly, and I just had to do it all over again, and I still feel like I missed some things because my brain is just thinking about the video that I made 20 minutes ago and all the things I covered in that, and then I'm mixing it up with what I just now recorded. I'm okay, whatever. Thank you. Okay, thank you to the people that do genuinely like watching these things. I have not been open about who I am as an individual because I was scared, honestly. I've always been told, I don't know, I've just always wanted people to like me, and for some reason people haven't, and I feel like it's me, it's my fault. And if people don't know me, then they can just like me for the idea that they might have, but if I tell people how I really am, then people probably won't like me, That's kind of the mentality, but I don't want to feel like that anymore. I want to feel like people do actually like me, so I want to share these things, and I don't want people to just be demanding ASMR from me all the time anymore. I want to feel like a person. And I can't feel like a person in my daily life because I'm so isolated, so I guess I'm going to have to turn to the internet like a little bitch. So, yeah. If you're in the same boat as me, same kind of trauma, same sort of diagnoses, or you're just, you know, same kind of boat, sad all the time. One thing that always helps me is whenever I'm crying really hard, I just like to imagine the fact that somebody else is probably crying really hard with me, you know? Like, I can't see them or hear them, but I'm sure that somebody else in the world just had something really terrible happen to them. Or maybe they dropped their pencil and it was just the straw that broke the camel's back, and they're having a breakdown, you know? I know I'm not the only person sad in the world. Somebody else is as equally as sad, and for some reason that makes me feel less alone, because I don't know, it just feels like we're crying together. Maybe I've just reached a very lonely point that I'm gonna go now. I hope that helps some of you guys, and I want to make a video soon about my struggles with connecting with people, and if you want to hear that video about me rambling about how I struggle to relate and feel close to people, then leave a comment, because maybe it'll make me want to make the video sooner because people actually care about it. That's it. Bye!